Select Board ex officio.
Catherine Brennan, member.
Morgan Dean, member.
John Racine, member.
Bill Spence, member.
Alan Burko, alternate.
Mike Capel, member.
Rick Smith, alternate.
Rob Wilson, alternate.
You got 6, you need.
One. Yeah, that's what I was. Okay,
Yes.
I was giving you a nice finger too.
Okay, so we're gonna put Alan in for a member. Okay, I'm gonna seat him.
All right, and I have to leave at 10:30.
Well, you can't. You have to get permission from the chair.
I don't think that's true.
No, no, I got it.
I
We'll
need
do what
permission-
we
I
can.
need permission from my wife. maybe.
Yeah, I got Rob.
Yeah, he's there.
He'll take over for you, so. Okay, Tara, you can hear us okay, yes?
Everyone can hear.
Okay, sorry, I.
All right, we were.
Sorry,
we were chit-chatting there.
Oh,
I had torture me. That was my
Mike's
fault.
got to
Sorry
leave at
about that.
10:30. Let's move along.
okay, so first thing is the we don't have the minutes right now, so we're gonna just move on with the. Really?
The drafts in there.
Not the 12th, I'm almost done.
All right, I move we accept the minutes for the public meeting from September 3rd.
Just sorry, like,
Okay,
Second.
I'd like to discuss.
Sorry.
All right,
Go ahead,
discussion.
Okay, line 36. So on amendment number 2, it's comprised of slopes greater than 15%. I think we should add in the and 1,000 square feet, just because if anybody's looking at these minutes, that's a key component
You're right,
of
Kathy.
that.
Yeah,
So we can stick that in there.
what line was that again?
36.
36.
You can-
Thank you.
And that's it.
Okay.
That's about what the size of this room.
Anything else?
We'll make a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's move
Yeah.
on.
I had no,
Wow, Bill,
that's right.
I'm impressed.
No. Alicia, good job.
I appreciate that. I do.
I have the privilege of the floor. Patty, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, I have questions on the proposed amendments. I
Okay,
don't understand. Is this a good time to?
Yep.
bring them
Yes,
up?
it is.
yep,
Not too many, I don't think. I applaud you all for understanding all the terminology. OHRV was something I had to look up. And it's, an amendment, proposed amendment 1. It was under L, item number 5, which is being crossed out. And I'm not sure what OHRV covers. It stands for off-highway recreational vehicle. So I went and looked up the definition of that in the state of New Hampshire, something. And it says not including snowmobiles somewhere in the definition. So we're left with this heading that says L, trailer, snowmobiles, boats, and commercial vehicles, that doesn't mention snowmobiles anywhere in the section. And so I'm wondering,
yeah,
Could I comment? I remember raising this issue, I think, a while back with Chief Noyes. I think he said we consider, I had the same impression you had, but that we consider OHRV to include snowmobiles.
We did when we had the first discussion.
right, but if
Yeah.
you look through, I went to
Yeah,
see what's the
that's why I had
definition of
the question.
OHRV,
Yeah.
and then somewhere in the state of New Hampshire RSA's, it said about OHRVs, this does not include snowmobiles.
Right.
Yeah, John, I think that's a good catch. We probably should clarify that we meant that includes snowmobiles and add it to the list.
Added to which list?
I have to get that in front of me.
Add it to the list of,
So it
Separate.
would say for
Yes.
recreational vehicle, tiny home on wheels, OHRV as defined in New Hampshire RSA 259:69, OHRV trailer, snowmobile, boat or boat trailer, right? I think that's what the board intended.
Yeah,
And then I'm still left with my question of if we're crossing out that number 5, no OHRV shall be used in any district without approval of the selectmen, we're crossing that out. So does that open us up to people being able to use these different vehicles around town in certain places? Are
So,
you saying
but,
that that piece is gonna stay? If you can hold on, Tara, 1 second. Are you assuming that piece is gonna stay in the selectmen's ordinance? Is that why you're crossing it out here? I'm confused about that.
it's being crossed out because it's beyond the zoning authority and shouldn't really have been in there. Landowners control use of snowmobiles and OHRVs on their own property, the town included. The town and state cover what happens on their roads and trails. The zoning doesn't.
So when we get to town meeting, this part is gonna be on the ballot during the day. When we get to town meeting and there's gonna be a warrant article about this zoning change?
No,
It'll
it's-
already voted,
It'd be voted on.
it'll be voted on in the ballot.
Right, the zoning change will be done,
Mhm.
but
Right.
is there gonna be a warrant article to change the selectmen's ordinance, which also has the same exact wording? Under L, snowmobiles, trailers, snowmobiles, boats, and there's a
Different.
whole section.
That's not
Word for
ours,
word, that's the same as what's in the zoning ordinance.
but that's not.
I have a quick question, that would, going back to actually the first point about snowmobiles, Tara, would it be simpler, easier to add, and maybe I'm just saying, talking out loud, but to add in a definition of what that is, so that whenever it is referenced in, to include snowmobile, so that whenever this acronym is referenced in anything, it's already included.
No, because when the state defines something, we have to use the state's definition.
Okay. Thank you.
It
So,
would be easier, but we don't get to do it.
Yeah, so the
Yeah, but
parking
shall not
ordinance in the
include-
selectmen's ordinance, I
Right,
forget what
that's
number it was.
parking, and it only.
It's parking, but it has a whole section, part
it-
A
it
or
does.
whatever it's called, and it's basically word for word, this
Right.
zoning.
It is, and that was improper, that
Okay.
should not have
But
been.
it doesn't need a vote at town meeting to change that, to fix that.
Yes, it does,
We'll see.
but we'll, yeah. We'll
It
look at
doesn't, it doesn't, I think your town council will confirm that it doesn't, because the select board is authorized to control use of town property and town roads.
That it will not apply to private property.
Well,
We
let's look at
never
it.
have had the authority to tell someone that they could not use a snowmobile on their land. Even though it was in the zoning, it was improper.
Okay, so we can just take it out.
I think we need to look at it just
We'll
to,
look
to
at it.
correct it, so that would be a warrant article to make a, pull that out.
Understand all that.
Well, no, I mean, if somebody uses a snowmobile or ATV or other kind of OHV on their own property, that the noise ordinance is really the tool for
Right.
addressing any issues there.
Yeah, we're just talking about cleaning up a selectmen's ordinance,
Yeah.
a select board ordinance, that's all.
We'll check with town council.
The other question I have on amendment number 1 has to do with the phrase class A or C motorhome or other so-called recreational vehicles. Now because I don't know what all these different classes are, and I think other people are gonna have the question too. Is a class B motorhome fall under the other so-called recreational vehicles or is there, I don't understand, I still don't understand that, it's come up a couple times.
I understood the chief to explain that you can register a van like that either way, and if it's registered as a recreational vehicle, then it would apply. And the reason that it's not in that list is that
In there, I think
That's why we put other
right.
recreational
Okay.
vehicles, because if a class B is registered as a van, it does not apply to it.
Yeah. A class B is a camper van,
It is a camper van.
it's a modified van as opposed to what we think of as a motorhome, like class A or class C. think of
They
class C
look
is like the
like-
truck body with
That's
the
right.
overhang over the cab.
Yeah.
And then, so there are people in town who have camper vans.
But they can register them
As
as
a
vans,
van.
which makes them a private vehicle,
Not
not a
subject.
recreational.
But if they do it as a recreational vehicle, then that other recreation vehicle would cover it.
And this gives our code enforcement and the PD the ability to enforce it if they have registered it as an RV, as a class B RV, instead of as a van, but they'll look exactly the same.
Mm.
You can't tell until you look at the registration whether that is a class B RV.
Or the license plate, I think.
So why wouldn't everyone just register it as a regular vehicle then?
A lot of them do.
Okay.
Some of
Insurance.
them
Insurance
for
reasons.
insurance.
Insurance.
Some of them
Insurance.
for insurance purposes, use it as a.
So I understand that. Amendment number 2, just a comment that the title on section V, temporary occupancy, doesn't make sense to me with that number 1 that talks about the trailers and all that. Maybe a different title might make more sense to me. Temporary occupancy and construction, portable, temporary structures perhaps.
Yes, I think we're going to respond to this problem of construction trailers,
Yeah,
that we don't want people living in a construction trailer. Is that what you mean?
I'm not sure what the intent is, but
The title of it is,
the title of it doesn't make sense to me with number 1. For construction trailers. Maybe it should be temporary occupancy and temporary construction structure.
I think the board's gonna discuss that further on the agenda.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense
Yeah.
to me,
okay,
and I think it won't.
I think
go on.
Andy-
Okay.
I think Andy made that same comment the
Yeah.
other day. I had it as a note.
Yes,
And
okay, we'll
what
respond to
about,
that.
camping in these vehicles, what about, tents? Is that something the zoning board would look at? I mean, can you camp in a tent?
We have a tent.
Yes,
I couldn't find one.
It's not applied to
Doesn't
camp.
apply
We're talking
here.
about just tents for commercial sales, that sort of thing.
Well, I think if someone, my parents would come up here for the summer and we put a tent in the backyard, we wouldn't allow that.
Tents weren't
Is that
listed.
your thing?
yes, we stayed away from tents in that,
Tents
And
aren't,
that's fine,
tents
and
aren't
that's
for sale.
fine.
It wasn't in the original either, right?
yes, because if the grandkids come and they put a tent in the backyard for,
And my only other question was on the floodplain. Amendment number 4,
3.
on the website. There's the zoning ordinances, which now includes the floodplain. The whole section on floodplain. When I looked at the website. On the planning board page, on the left side, there's a list of all different things, including zoning ordinances at the bottom. There at the top, it has. Other things. The second one down is floodplain ordinance. Is that out of date? And should that still be there? It has articles 1 through 5, and I know the floodplain,
We cleaned it out.
I think it is.
more than that, so it's old. Is
Yes.
that out of date? And should it
So the
be
link may
removed?
be on, because we cleaned it up, right? So we just need to remove that link and put the link to the,
Well, the
correct.
zoning ordinance now includes the floodplain
right,
ordinance. So, and there's more in the zoning that go with floodplain than what is in that old link. It's an old document. It's not complete and it's old, and should it be removed? The link.
no.
I think that's a good point.
That's it. No, it was all my questions.
okay. Thank you, Patty. We'll certainly discuss a lot of this. That's good. Alicia, I'm going to take Alan off and put Nancy back in. She's still a member at this point.
Full member.
Yes.
Okay. So Nancy's in.
Sorry, Alan. Again, I know,
Three
I'm
times.
hitting you hard.
That's right, yeah.
Okay. Um. Old business RFQ update. Oh, Rich,
John, could I raise an issue that came up at the
Yes.
select board yesterday concerning the planning board, since
yes.
before
please.
people perhaps have to leave. So yesterday at our regular meeting, the select board discussed a number of personnel issues to include upcoming reappointments and appointments to the various boards, which would include the planning board. We have in March at town meeting, right after that, our first select board meeting, we will need to reappoint people to the various boards whose term has expired, or appoint somebody new if the incumbent does not want to be reappointed. As far as the planning board is concerned, there are 4 positions which currently have incumbents that will either have to be reappointed, or we have to find another person. So those 4 positions are the position held by Nancy, Mike, Rob, I think Rob is back there. Hey, Rob. And Alan. So these are 3 years cycles, everyone knows how it goes, right? A number of these come up every year, so that we're cycling through the people into the positions, excuse me, there are 11 positions. So those 4 individuals, the current incumbents, need to write an email to, you can send it to me at rreader@Waterville Valley NH, don't forget the NH.gov.
Wait a minute. Our reader.
Yeah,
Oh,
at Waterville Valley NH.gov, and same with John, put John either on as a AD or as a CC. And tell the board if you want to be reappointed. And please, as soon as you can do this or make up your mind, I mean, we got a couple months, but if you're not planning to be reappointed, the sooner you can let the chair and the select board know, the sooner perhaps we can start looking around to see if another person might be
John, what is
interested.
your email? Or should we just send it to Rich?
You can send it to your regular email, either way.
Yeah, I'll give it to you.
It's on every email.
Okay, I'll find it then.
The other part of this is that one of the things additionally that the select board discussed was being appointed to any of these boards and attendance. And the expectation will be, the appointment power is a select board power. So the expectation of the select board is that if you want to sit on any of these boards, that you intend to attend all the meetings. Now, we know that is in person. Now, we know that's difficult. Everyone's, you have an issue comes up, or you may be out of town. So missing, there are 12 for the planning board, there are 12 regular meetings. There are probably half a dozen special meetings, hearings during an average year. So something like that, 12, 18 meetings a year. The select board is looking for people who are going to be physically here, because that's how you have your best discussions. For the vast majority of those meetings, missing 1 or 2, 3, okay, maybe. But we'd like people who commit to this position to actually be at the table when we have to have the
Right.
meetings. So for anyone who wants to be reappointed, please keep that in mind. If you don't want to be reappointed, you think there's someone who may want to be appointed to the position, if you'd like to talk to them but explain to them that there's a commitment of time involved here as well. So that's the announcement from the select board to the planning board. Thank you very much.
Okay, Rich, thank you. So I have to ask Nancy, you turned in
Wait, we were gonna talk about this afterwards. I don't really think this-
well,
This is not a.
I have a letter here that you,
Yeah, and it was rescinded.
would you like to rescind that? I
It
want,
was rescinded.
it was,
Yeah.
okay, all right,
You know that.
okay. I'm sorry I didn't know. I wasn't sure what you wanted to do.
Oh, I-
This way it makes it
I have to
official,
do that.
okay, so everyone knows. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Um. Oh, okay, the RFQ update, I almost missed that. We have anything on
We
that?
have not heard back from the vendor yet, where Steve has reached out to him. And we're just waiting to get their proposal,
Okay,
so we'll reconvene the group as soon as we have it.
okay. So I want to throw this out there. I may be off course. Please let me know if I am. But why we have Tara for a couple more months? Why can't we think about going with her offer of having NCC come in and she trains somebody? I'm sorry, but we're gonna be left with nobody, so it's up to us if we wanna be left with nobody, or maybe have somebody with North Country Council. So it's
I,
up to the board.
I've talked to the North Country Council Executive Director, and if you want something in writing from them to consider for next month, I'll get that for you.
Okay, would the board be interested in that?
I would,
Yeah.
absolutely.
The working group, did discuss that, and there were some preliminary, inquiries to the North Country Council. And, that's the result of those preliminary inquiries and our discussions. We decided to go with, a particular commercial, entity, SE Group. We interviewed them, and we are simply waiting. They said to give them some time. We interviewed them before the holidays, and they said, just give us a little time after the holidays to get back to you. And we had a very in-depth discussion with them as to what we were expecting. I mean, Bill was there and Rick was there. I don't know if you guys want to speak up, but I came away with the impression that they were going to seriously consider our proposal. And so we were waiting for them to come back and tell us what they thought of the proposal and how they could work with the board. And then we were going to present that to the planning board. So I would imagine by the February
Yes.
February meeting, I don't know the exact date, but second Thursday in February, we will have a report that we can provide the full planning board on issue of a land use planner or a land use planning firm. I don't know, Rick, Bill, if you want to speak up?
No, that's exactly what happened. I have no hesitation to say that I think the SC group would be capable of performing the functions that we want,
Mhm.
and that they gave every indication of their interest.
So I think it was very encouraging conversation with them. I was a little bit down, frankly, going into that conversation, and I'm
Yeah,
much more pleased with our potential ability to solve this problem.
Yes,
yeah, I think the capability was not the question that they had. I think they were interested. It's a question of walling off that particular aspect of their work that is working with the planning board, because they also work with
Right.
a major landowner in town. So the firm would have to make sure that there's no
yeah. it's
conflict of interest. And so they needed to work through that. That's how I understood it. Let us work through that and we'll figure out something and we'll come back to you with how we can make things work. I mean, that's the way it came across to me.
Kathy,
So I think that's fantastic, and I look forward to hearing that. I think that we would be remiss, though, if I just want to make it clear that we would go forward with
Mhm.
getting a proposal or ideas from the North Country Council. That way in February, we've got two options to look at. But also, in the meantime, if we still feel like this vendor's the way to go, but they're still working through some things, and how does the contracts work? Like, would it be possible to, so that there's no gap to, have a 2 or 3 month contract with a How does that work? Can you speak to that a little bit?
We just do a temporary contract.
Okay,
It's easy.
okay, so that's not an issue if we decide, but we're still working through some other things, we can, okay, that was my concern.
With
So-
SE Group, we were talking beginning in April.
Okay, so.
That's the date that we proposed to them.
So then the expectation is hopefully in February, we can have we'll, be able to talk about two things.
We'll
Oh.
provide a report. The working group, I think, will
Okay,
come back with a report. We just hadn't
Right.
heard from
okay.
SE Group, so we had nothing to report for this meeting.
I think
No.
the challenge, is in the work that we would ask someone to do. So SE Group seems like more of a full shop,
Mm-hmm,
able to do a lot of what Tara does today.
yeah,
In addition to some other things. And the council, more like, we could probably request, and this is the way I remember it, if you guys remember it differently. Mark, that it would be more like, hey, could you help us with this particular thing, not a more sort of, on-call kind of deal.
John,
yeah, that was.
Yes, Tara, go ahead.
that's not the case. I partner with North Country Council on a number of things and I've had numerous conversations with the director about this. And they do offer circuit riding, which is I kind of do two different things. I wear two different hats for you. One is the day-to-day administration of subdivision and site plan, where I see the applications when they come in and decide what step in your process they're at. I write the notices for Steve and Alicia, do the completeness review. That's, give feedback on the small things. That's all, typical circuit rider stuff that North Country Council could do. And that I've offered to train somebody if they were on board. I'm going to be out of town for several weeks, April. So, my hope when I offered it a few months ago was that we'd be doing that now. But then I also am under the state law that lets you have an independent outside consultant review plans, and you bill that back to the applicant. And I'm your town planner that does the zoning amendments and so forth. I'd encourage you to think about that it may not be an either or with North Country Council or SE Group. SE Group is great. They have really qualified people. I think they'd be, except for the conflict that might be a concern. But aside from that, I think they'd be great for reviewing some of your bigger projects and some of your planning projects, because they did do the pedestrian study and things line up in that. And you could think about hiring North Country Council, on a monthly basis for the routine stuff, and probably save some money for applicants in that approach. So I would, agree with Kathy to, have North Country Council go ahead and let you know what they can do and what they would charge.
Can we do that?
Yeah.
Can we approach North Country Council and?
We have
So you can get
talked to
that.
them. We will continue the work group. We'll work on this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we're at the 11th hour pretty much right now, and I'd rather not be left with nobody. And we've had a lot of time to approach this, so.
I have a simplistic question. Is there and I understand that maybe you haven't gotten that far. But is there a significant, and there's always a monetary difference, but is there a significant monetary difference? Yes, the SC Group I've dealt with them in my previous life. They're a spectacular outfit. Right? I think that there might be a little more expensive,
Yes.
Than
And that's one of the things.
we
we're waiting to hear back on.
used to.
It's
All
one
right.
of the things we're waiting to hear back on, and that could be an issue.
So you don't know if that's fine.
No.
Not knowing the answer
We
is,
asked them.
not
to-
knowing the answer is an answer. That's fine.
We're waiting to hear back from them, what they could do for us and what it would cost.
I mean, I do have experience with them, so.
Yeah, the cost could end up being an issue. We've discussed this at the working group. Yeah.
Okay, no. I didn't know if you had an answer to that question.
Not yet.
That's,
Yeah,
Like
it
I
may be
said,
we
a
cannot
non-answer
afford
in this case is a fine answer.
completely what they could do for us.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I guess I want to go back to the council for a second and just talk about, I think the feedback that we had. And I don't remember when this was, maybe it's been resolved, but they had some staffing challenges. To potentially be able to help us, so. I know they had a number of job openings or position opening listed on the municipal, I forget the name of that site, but. That there was some concern about, whether or not they'd be able to help us to the extent that we would want it. So the kinds of things that you do for us today, and whether or not they have bandwidth to even do that. If that's changed, or if that's not the understanding that we should have had, then, I think Mark said he'd go back and talk to the director. We can get that clarified.
Well, I'm in touch with the director regularly, and what we talked about is that the idea of using each for some might make sense because they don't have real senior planners on staff that have the same capabilities that I do. But honestly, when I was an executive director, I assigned the circuit rider stuff to entry-level planners. That's not something you need an experienced planner to do.
Definitely.
Good, I have
Incorporate
no objection having two alternatives.
No,
That was
I think.
part of the reason
we'll-
that this working group was
Yeah.
assigned the task.
No, Mr. Chair, the working group will explore again the North Country Council opportunity, especially in terms of, as Tara put, it doesn't have to be either or. Because cost, my suspicion is that cost is going to be an issue with SE Group for the stuff that we asked them for. And then, of course, that decision will go to the select board. And we'd have to weigh that cost with all sorts of other.
Rich, the select board doesn't approve the planning board's contract for services. The planning board is empowered under state law to do this on their own. To spend their own budget, to sign contracts for their own contractors. I've always had Mark on my contract because Mark independently asked me to do things once in a while that get billed to the select board rather than the planning board. But it's not a select board power.
Well, the select board, maybe we've been doing it incorrectly, but as long as I've been here, the select board has been providing the budget to the planning board from the town's operating budget.
Yeah.
It's not listed as a planning board budget in the budget.
Yes, it is.
That and the state law enables the planning board to control its own budget.
But we'll take a look at that, Tara. Thank you.
Then you gotta wait and see what this number is.
So select boards, yeah.
So I want to be clear. We're gonna have some kind of answers by February meeting.
That's
That
what's
we will,
expected.
we will report, the working group will report at the February meeting.
Which
Okay,
is the 13th,
Is it whatever the second Thursday is?
something like that, 13th, something like that? 'Cause I'm back by then.
But the intent is with recommendations. I mean, we are
So-
very well aware of the timing.
Yeah, we want
Yeah.
it done by the end of March.
Right, we've had several meetings and it happened to be the holiday season. We're waiting to hear back. We can contact SE Group and find out when they can get back to us.
He reached out, yes.
I think because we had discussed this, I think, yeah.
The 13th.
I'm back.
Even better if you could get somebody to start March 1st so that there's an opportunity for me to show them the ropes. My extension goes through March with with the idea that I'd be helping with the transition.
That is the hope, yeah.
so we can make this a bit of a priority. You guys comfortable with that?
It is a priority. Yes.
I know, it's what I'm trying to be nice about it. I
Okay.
wanted a priority, let's do it.
We
That
are
sounds
doing it,
better.
Mr. Chair.
That's better.
We've had several meetings. We are doing it.
Okay. I want to hear good news
Cost will be
in
interesting.
February.
Cost
Rick?
will be interesting.
You look like you want to say something, I'm gonna move
It
on.
would be defensive, so I'm not gonna say it.
Okay, okay.
In defense of the committee.
I'm sure you're doing a great job.
Okay, we can move on to next business, site plan regulations. Tara, you want to start us off with that, or?
Yeah, so the last time we went through the draft, it was asked to make two change, I mean, we talked about filling in the number of events that make somebody exempt or minor. And added a section for preliminary review. And I think at this point, you're deciding whether you have any other changes you want to make before you schedule a public hearing.
But for site plan regulations, we didn't have to have, we have to have a public hearing for site plan regulations as well?
Yes, it doesn't go to town meeting, but you do have to have a public hearing.
Okay.
But what was our decision?
I was fine with the changes. I didn't have any,
Me too.
I went through and read everything.
I think it was just
But
some
to me,
minor, yeah, just clarifying a couple minor points.
Yes,
Yeah.
I thought that was fine.
I did too.
Did anybody else have any concern?
No,
Margaret, Rob? Out there? Okay.
no, I think the modifications are step forward.
Okay.
So do we want to? A public hearing, we have to go forward with a public hearing on that?
Yeah.
We can just do it at our
Sounds like it.
next meeting
Okay.
on the 13th of
We're gonna
February.
ask for public review and commentary at the next planning board meeting.
Well, it's
Okay.
two separate meetings, right, though? So
You
you,
could-
you would just combine it that.
Yeah, yeah,
time.
you just
Yeah,
open up the
so-
planning board meeting, then open up a public
Yeah.
hearing, close the public hearing and then go back.
Okay.
Is that enough time?
Is that,
What, is that enough time? Oh,
It's a month, it's site.
It's only it's either a 5 or a 7 day.
Yeah,
require-
10. It's
10.
it's 10,
That's-
so we have
okay.
a month.
No, I just,
It's fine.
I have to ask, is that fair to the public?
It's a month.
No, I mean, at 8 AM morning.
Sure.
Meeting.
Well,
That's the way
Well,
you've always done it.
Okay, that's
For
the answer
site
I'm looking
plan.
for.
Both for site plan regulations and subdivision
Regulations.
regulations, you've done them in this meeting.
Okay,
You're
done.
not having evening public hearing.
So we'll add a public hearing February 13th for the site plan regulations.
Yeah.
Okay,
Assuming we approve them today.
okay.
Yeah, but I don't hear any,
So do you want to say 8 o'clock? Do you want to say 8:30?
I just put it in.
Do it first at 8?
Just
Yeah.
start right up with it.
Right away, yeah, I agree.
All right, so I'll get the notice to Alicia.
Thank you.
but I don't think that any of us have any negative comments to make about the revisions that have been made.
And we have some small,
Yeah.
Rick?
excuse me.
That's just the one question. I think we we talked about, I see that in, I'm trying to think of the numbers, section 11, administration and enforcement talks about the 24 months after the date of approval. And if something hasn't been done by that time, that we would I don't know if it's the right word, rescind the application or the plan.
I think the state law is driving us.
Is it 24 months?
24, right?
But it doesn't say what we do about that,
So
basically.
are you talking about section C where 5-year exemption?
It's just after that, the penalty or the, no, you're right.
Yep, so that's not saying that it expires, that's something you wanna put in, continue to put in the notice of decision, how long they have to meet the conditions precedent and how long they have to begin construction. This is language from the state law about if they do it within this 24 months and whatever else is stated in here, then they're exempt from changes in the zoning or site plan or subregs that come along after.
All right, thank you, Tara.
It's a vesting statute.
I was thinking that we had to also put it here, but if it's just in the notice of decision, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you
That's
can have it in here and say in or as, you know, contained in the notice of decision and whatnot, but it's so different for different projects.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Thank you.
Anything else on that? You said we had some small changes on,
That's what just
Correct.
there was the cleanup that Tara was doing. Well,
Oh,
we didn't
Tara.
finish last time.
yeah, yep,
There were a couple questions.
yep, okay.
I'm fine with
I mean,
Was-
I'd suggest we all give it one more careful read before the public hearing. Minor corrections can be made at that time.
Okay,
Yes.
I had a note and I apologize, I can't, that Terry, you were gonna go back there where this was, I can't remember if it was in the site regulations, I could be completely off. A definition of community. Does that ring a bell with you? as far as-
No, it does not.
All right, I'll go back and look. I apologize. I'd written somewhere, I can't find it. That someone, you know, what we were number 3. Was it amendment 3?
Is that the zoning amendments?
Nah, was it?
Was it
I
something?
don't know if you wrote amendment 3.
No, I didn't. So, but it was.
I've
it
never
was-
written I've never written a definition of a community except in regard to
Okay.
solar energy.
No.
And I don't think we've titled that lately. Community systems.
Okay, I will research that some more and see if I can be more specific. I apologize.
You know, if I'd love to see you adopt this in March. If you, everybody gives it a thorough read, has the hearing in February. If there are any little substantive changes, you continue the hearing to March, so you can do the changes and repost it and adopt it in March.
okay,
This keeps the process rolling.
But this is an adaptive process on the part of the planning board that we don't take this to public hearing, to
Town meeting,
town meeting, no.
no.
Good.
But if we have no substantive changes after the public hearing in February, we could close it out then.
There could be by motion and vote to adopt it.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
agreed.
any further discussion on this item? No,
No, I thought the revisions were good.
Yeah.
all
We
right,
needed to do it.
and, okay, so let's discuss and vote on zoning amendment 2, 3, and 6.
Do we have to,
Yes, we do.
plan regulations to, don't we have to have a vote on site plan regulations that we're moving it forward as accepting them as amended or no?
Yeah, you should vote that this version goes to public hearing.
Yeah, back to the site plan,
Yeah.
regs, yep.
You're worse than me.
I just-
Yeah, it was good,
No, I
Kat.
didn't think it was necessary, but good.
Good, Kat.
Fine with Kathy.
All right, so we have to move to accept the site plan regulations as drafted.
Yes.
No, you move to have a public hearing on this version.
Public hearing,
I move, we move the site plan regulations
the draft change.
just with draft changes to the public hearing on
13th February.
February 13th, 20 at 8 AM, 2025.
Seconded.
Okay, all in favor?
It's
Aye.
2026.
Okay.
Okay. Good catch, Kathy. Now we can move on to discuss and vote on the zoning amendments of 2, 3, and 6.
Mr. Chairman,
Go right ahead.
I move that with regard to zoning amendment number 26.
6.
26?
I'm
I was scared for a minute
6.
there.
Yeah.
6. What? I'm sorry.
Yeah, number 6.
Number 6,
Yep,
we drop,
You withdraw?
we withdraw that proposed amendment.
Yep. Anybody want to second that?
I second it.
Okay, any further discussion on that? So we understand it?
That way it's done.
What he means is withdraw it from submission to town meeting.
Yep, no, I know what he
Well,
means.
Well,
we
you
withdraw
never
it.
voted to send it to town meeting,
We
so all you
withdraw
really
the
need to do is not vote to send it to town meeting.
Right, we can't, yeah,
Okay,
We don't move it forward.
we don't move forward.
We do
Right.
not move it forward.
all right, so can we do we have to do a roll call vote on this, or?
You really don't need to do anything because you never did vote to send it to town meeting.
Well-
Is it in the record that we're withdrawing it because the person who asked for it asked us to withdraw it? Make sure.
Well, they can't ask us to withdraw. We can withdraw.
Yeah, because he's not going forward.
Because he's
with
not
it.
going forward.
Right, we're just withdrawing it.
Did you actually do a motion or not?
No,
No,
Sorry,
okay.
Just either table it or just ignore it is what Tara's saying. You never voted to move it forward to town.
Yes.
All right, so we don't need
So you
to,
don't need
So we
to.
don't
So we don't need a
have to
motion.
have any-
good,
So
whatever, we're doing
We're
nothing.
done
Mike
discussing.
withdraws his motion.
so we just
Yeah.
table
My
it.
second.
So
Ever.
let's table amendment 6.
Yes,
Table amendment.
table it. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
okay. All right, then let's go back to amendment number 2.
Can I make some recommendations to kick this off?
Sure, go.
In listening to the public hearing comments and questions this morning, I have some recommendations. One is that let's talk about it, the substance and then the procedures. One would be to add snowmobiles to amendment 1 as talked about earlier this morning. I have it on the screen. It would go between the OHRV trailer and boat trailer would say snowmobile or snowmobile trailer. I feel that a good point was raised at the public hearing that if amendment 2 doesn't pass with the camping in it and amendment 1 passes, you're not protected anymore from camping. Amendment 1 has it can't be used overnight. And then initially this was all one amendment, 1 and 2, but you decided to move pieces of it to amendment 2. And when we did that, we opened up the door for not having anything saying that camping isn't allowed. So I'd recommend taking this number 2 in amendment 2, make it its own section called camping, but put it in amendment number 1. So in amendment 1, you're taking it out of one section and adding it in another.
In other words, it's going to be in both.
No, I would just take it out of amendment 2 and then rename what's left temporary construction structures.
Oh, let's see.
So they'd stay the same, but just be organized a little bit different.
I see.
And I can tell you the procedure if you're done discussing it.
What do you guys think?
And when we do it,
I'm still wrapping my head around it. So you're taking no overnight occupancy, that number 2, and making its own section called camping. But it's still part of the,
No, it'd
No,
give
I'd give it its own letter.
okay,
Yeah, I have no issue
It
with
would
that.
be clearer, I think.
that seems to be what most people were like, why is this in this? It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Done with-
But I
No.
don't wanna, but the conversation was going toward having it be its own amendment, and then if it didn't pass, and number 1 passes, there's nothing saying no, that, overnight use of the camper isn't allowed.
Yeah,
I don't
Agreed.
think we should have taken that out of Amendment 1.
Mhm.
I'm good with that.
Accepted.
I'm okay with that.
Does that cover the problem of workforce using construction
No.
trailers as
No.
living in it?
No, I mean, it doesn't do everything everybody's talked about. It's just one recommendation.
Correct.
But I
Um.
thought that could best be dealt with in the select board issuing the permit for the construction trailers, because there may be an instance they want to allow a night watchman.
My experience with a night watchman is they are not really living there. They're using it as an office.
Yeah, it's a workplace.
They
Yeah, I
work-
understand, but if you added something like no overnight occupancy, then it seems
I
like
don't,
it's muddy.
I don't consider that occupancy. I think that's an office, not an occupancy. In my experience.
I agree.
So where do you want to add what language?
Great question.
Yeah, right.
I did my best here.
Well, I was interested in a statement that simply said that construction contract trailers could not be used for residential purposes.
I can accept that.
That sounds good.
Define residence.
Do you wanna flip that
There is
and
again.
saying what? Instead of saying what they
They're all gonna
can't
be
be for,
your
but
house.
what the allowed use is,
Yeah.
as opposed to what the non-allowed use is.
What makes it easier for enforcement?
Yeah.
Well, we have a long list of what the types of things, but I don't know how you'd list what they could be used for.
I don't know
Well,
either,
an
but
office, would cover a security guard, right? So if we say construction trailers, something like that, because that's what you do, when you're working.
well, the
an
construction
office.
trailer is used for principally storage. And then as a for the supervisor's office.
What if you put no overnight accommodations with this? Because I do like what Andy said the other night, there is that, what if you do get the guy that says, I don't wanna drive back from last night, I'm asleep.
Yes,
So what if you just throw in something like, does not include overnight accommodations, or,
Yeah, but then that person can't do it.
that's what I'm saying, right? You don't want people to sleep in there, do you?
no,
Right.
So if you put like no overnight accommodations included,
Can I-
something like that.
Can I ask a practical question? We do have situations here in central New Hampshire where all of a sudden something that was supposed to be 1 to 3 inches, all of a sudden becomes significantly more. Can we, and I hate to do this because it adds complication and I apologize,
That's right.
but can we say something like without approval? Because God help us all, you know what I'm saying? But practically that can, don't look at me in that tone of voice, Nancy. No, you know what I'm saying? This can happen to someone and someone that is commuting from an hour and a half away.
Oh, I'm in
You're-
agreement, actually.
You're
Oh, I'm-
talking about. a
But you know what I'm
force majeure
saying? I think
situation.
it happens.
Personally do it no matter what, and just say, screw you, you know, if you wanna come out in this storm and kick me out,
Yeah.
try.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you know, without previous approval means they pick up the phone and they ask Rich, or they ask the chief, or they ask Mark, or they ask, I don't know who the hell they ask. But this legitimately could happen.
Well, if I'm looking at Green Peak and,
Look at me.
yeah, he's over there and all of a sudden, like you said, there's a storm and he sleeps on the trailer for the night.
I'm not hurting anybody.
Huh?
Nobody will know about it.
I don't think anybody's gonna,
I think it's safer than trying to drive home in a storm, and
No,
you don't want people to get hurt because. we-
Right, no, I agree. I just don't know if we should put that in and just say, you know, we're practical people, so the hell with it.
But why can't-
Could we, is there another way to do this? Could we, could we modify the word trailers with office and take mobile homes out? And then there's nothing that looks like we mean they could sleep there? Would that do it?
Or you could just put the no overnight and then we use discretion.
Yeah.
They call and say it's a snowstorm and we say, okay.
Well, I don't know if we have to
So
put
you
that in.
eliminate it in there altogether, so they don't have the ability to sleep there, but if they call and say, this is the situation, I can say, absolutely. Stay there for the night.
That's what I'm
But it
saying.
doesn't give carte blanche to stay there.
I like her recommendation.
Yeah, take trailer
Just
out
make
of-
it- Take
trailer
trailer
out
out
of
of.
Yeah.
too.
And-
No, take mobile homes out
Take
mobile
mobile
and
home.
modify trailer with office.
Right.
yes.
I think the purpose of this is to say that anybody reading these ordinances would understand, they just can't plan to do this.
Correct.
They can't plan to overnight.
Correct.
So what, I didn't hear the language, so if we make it be office trailers, strike mobile homes, and then we're adding what sentence exactly?
I don't think you need to add anything. Cara, is what I'm saying. It says offices, you got rid of mobile homes. There's no indication of sleeping at all.
Yeah.
That way. And I think that solves. And we just count on the code enforcement and public safety to use discretion.
Okay,
And, I mean, we have a certain amount of discretion that's gonna happen
Anyway,
throughout the ordinance anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
We're already,
Okay.
we're already saying in the number 2, which I realize we're gonna move that, but no overnight occupancy of a camper or trailer, those are trailers. If it's an
Right.
office.
But if we move this to a different one, you could end up with one and not the other.
Instead. You know, so that by making it office, we know what the office,
Right,
that there is a construction office that is placed as part of the project that's in the permit. And that's what it would apply to.
In our language, could we use that construction office or portable office?
That's what she said.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where it says trailers, I would modify it by saying office trailer.
Just office?
Office
Just leave it
trailer.
as office.
Can we take the word trailer right out of there? and put-
No, because you do want to allow office trailers. That's a pretty
It's an
standard
op-
thing on a big construction site.
Okay,
I mean, look at the Green Peak office is really a trailer.
right.
We're gonna have 2 or 3 of them here for the plant project.
Right.
One for the engineer, one for the
Sure.
contractor, and one for the town's
Yep.
project manager.
Okay,
That's,
Okay.
those will be set up.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Recommendation accepted.
We're good with that.
That fix it?
Okay,
Are we okay with amendment 2 to move on?
So I think you need to have a vote to reconsider your vote to send number 1 to town meeting so that we can make the change to number 1.
All right, so we need to make a motion on that?
Motion to reconsider, our vote to move, amendment 1 to town meeting.
seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. anything else on Amendment 2?
I have one non-substantive change, but are we done with the substantive?
Do you mean number 1 as revised? Do you have to say that?
No,
No.
you reconsidered.
The one we-
The way you
Yeah.
moved it.
You're not voting on
Sorry.
the language yet. You're just, I wanted you to be sure to remember to vote to reconsider your previous vote. And then you can vote 1, 2, 3 together when you're done with your discussion.
Rich?
I was wondering, was there anything else substantive on amendment 2? Have we finished?
I don't, that's what I
No.
was asking too. I think we're good with it. Tara, anything else on Amendment 2?
No, that was everything I had.
Okay,
So I have one minor, I think, we need to, in the new language, let's change Board of Selectmen to Select Board.
I like that.
And all the new language.
Yep.
No, the acronym.
Is that how it is in the rest of the ordinance?
That's how it's supposed to be, right?
That's how it should be.
And it
Yeah,
should-
I know, but I think
We've been
I
changing,
matched what we had.
Doesn't matter.
we've been piecemealing, changing.
Oh, good. I like the new one.
Okay, amendment number 3. Any discussion on that? 3? Morgana, anything?
No.
No?
I'm just looking over the comments we had last night.
Mhm.
Andy had quite a few about this one.
Mhm.
Okay, I have a question, Mr. Chairman. A lot of the stuff
Wait a minute,
that,
Mike, are you?
There we go, yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Mike.
some of the things that Andy said were really good.
Mhm.
My understanding, for example, is that, and I don't mean to pick on Nancy, but I will. Let's suppose that Nancy decides that they want to clear cut everything behind them.
Yeah.
Not that they would, because they could. Not that they would. And that would clear, and my understanding is there's some kind, I don't know how big the grade is, I've never walked your property. But that would clearly cause, and it could cause an issue.
Mhm.
But because that is private property, there is nothing that we can say with regard to that which they could do, for example, to clear cut property like that. And I think that's where we came down Tuesday, is that even though it may not be good for the town, there is nothing we can do about it. Is that true? I
As
think
far
it's
as
true.
zoning is
I think it's true. I'm just asking the
With
question.
regard to zoning,
With regard to zoning.
because it's not in our zoning now.
It is not in our zoning
Right.
now,
We
and
don't-
I don't think,
Can't be.
I don't think there's anything we can do once the property is up and built and everything else. I'm just asking in my own tiny brain, even though it is not something that we would want, we the town, there's nothing we could do about it.
Until we make any rules, correct?
There's no precedent for it that I'm aware of. Restrictions on cutting in shorelines and wetlands have been long established. I'm not sure that anyone has tried to address cutting on slopes when it's not related to a development. So I'm not a lawyer. I can't say it's authorized or enabled or not, but I haven't seen it.
I would agree with that after our last discussion, where I made the comment that you can't tell a private property owner not to cut down his trees. Tara disagreed. I looked for some state law. State law says that shorelines around ponds, rivers, and some municipal situations where trees are regarded as characteristic of the town's image. You can't cut those trees down, but otherwise, I didn't find anything that said that you can't tell a property owner who owns a lot for building that he can't cut down his trees. And, that's what Mike's addressing. I don't think we can do that.
Well, again, you can if it's in a shoreline or wetland and as part of a
Yes, I
shoreline or
agree with
wetland ordinance, but I have not seen it as part of a steep slope ordinance.
Right, and there are state laws that over a certain amount of cutting then needs permitting.
Yes, I remember reading that too. Yes.
Yes,
But how much is
But
it? What's the amount?
It's
Pretty
it's
big.
a huge.
it's significant. I read it.
And it's
significant.
technical.
Acres.
Yeah, I'm just asking the question.
Commercial.
My understanding is there's nothing we can do about it.
So unless
Yeah.
there's a private agreement on the deed itself, somebody above me who lives on a steep slope above me
Mhm.
can cut down all those trees and let the water just wash down.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that becomes then a private legal
Yeah,
issue,
I remember that.
right? If
don't
it
know.
impacts the value of your property negatively, that's not a zoning town issue.
There,
Yeah, I'm not
as
even-
far as I know, like Tara says, as far as I know, there's no state law that enables the planning board or the town in any way to adopt regulations outside of the shoreline or the wetlands to limit
Wow.
that cutting. Again, I agree with her. I don't think that it's been tried by any town. I'm not aware of any either that have tried to do it with steep slopes. Doesn't mean it can't be done or that the legislature couldn't adopt enabling legislation to give you guys that power to adopt
Yep.
regulations. But you would have to talk to our state legislators
Yeah, good
and
luck.
get the law changed.
Okay,
That's all.
but one of the
And when-
things that I think
And when I,
Tara said,
when I wrote this and other, overlay districts, they're pretty closely based on the models that I worked on with others around the state. We had attorneys, we had DES, scientists, and we kind of went as far as we thought we could on these, and we didn't put a limit on cutting. If we're talking about erosion and sedimentation, if we're talking about an ordinance that's for the protection of the view, that has been done. A hillside, hilltop and ridgeline ordinance where there's an established, important view to the community. We can limit the cutting so that the house isn't so visible from public areas, that kind of cutting. But I haven't seen it in relation to something aimed at erosion and sedimentation.
Carl, it's Mike again, and I apologize. I thought what I heard you say, and I could be mishearing you. But I thought what you said is that you have never seen this done, but that it may or may not be something that we can do legally, and we could ask council whether it is something that can be done. Or did I mishear you?
Yeah, I mean, that's correct. I don't think I said you could ask council, because their answer is gonna be the same as mine, that, gosh, we're not really sure how the court would look at that as fitting the enabling legislation for zoning. You could certainly try it, and you might be establishing the precedent for the state.
No.
I have no desire to establish precedent for the state.
Well, that's
I'm
a different
concerned with
question
the
than
state.
ask town
I'm concerned
council.
with
That
water
it's,
without. My concern is this, all right? We have places in our town where there clearly are some steep slopes, or whatever you want to call it, where there are trees and other vegetation that is protecting or was protecting the residences below it. Did I say that appropriately? Now, and I know your area is clearly one of them. Are we saying there is nothing that we can do to protect those other than should they do it and it has a significant effect on the value of their property, which means they have a major court fight on their hands? There's nothing we can do to stop people from clear cutting that and other than setting statewide precedent, which Mark is not excited about.
No, I can speak to that. So I just did a quick search and NewHampshireEconomy.com, which I don't know how great that is, but they have an innovative land use planning techniques handbook for sustainable development. And they talk about examples. Lyme, New Hampshire. They have a steep slope conservation district and a ridgeline and hillside conservation district. The ridgeline and hillside conservation is defined as those ridgeline and hillside areas which are visible from public waters or public roads located within the town at a distance on the USGS topographic map of a half mile or more, measured in a straight line. The steep slope conservation district works smoothly for the most part. There are occasional difficulties associated with determining where the district should be applied. So in my understanding, that's like a separate overlay district, like.
So, and that's what I said, that if it's for protecting the view shed, then you can.
Okay.
And I wrote part of that book.
Okay.
I wrote 4 chapters of it and was on the editorial board for a bunch of others. But
I'm gonna write.
Could I think we're kind of wandering away a little bit here. The major, comment that I got from, on Amendment 3, there was a lot of commentary about, procedural shortfalls or presentation shortfalls. Which are really outside the scope of the substance of the amendment, but the substantive comment was it doesn't do the complete job of what we're trying to do. What about non-construction, non-permitted cutting like we've been talking about? Let's move forward with what at least we're trying to cover, and these other issues, if we're looking to try to find a way, you know, that perhaps next year we want to move in that direction, we can, but at least let's get a part of the pie here.
So I move that the discussion with regard to clear cutting private land be moved forward to next year. That, can we say it that way? Or how would we say it?
I don't think I think you
We
just,
don't, probably don't have to say anything. We just agree that we're gonna do it.
well, this board, yeah,
Is that okay, Mr. Chairman?
yeah, we put it on a work plan. I mean, the new board in March, we'll be
Yeah.
putting
No,
together a work plan,
I
and this could be
I
raised.
I agree to be part of that. And-
Okay, look, it's a potential problem, but we don't know how to deal with it.
I agree
Well,
I agree to be
research.
part of that
Yeah.
group, and we'll figure something out
Let's-
in the spring. or
Let's
something.
get what we
Right.
can
Yeah.
here, if it's
And
approved by the
anything
town.
else to be said about Amendment 3? Mark?
The public posting, when you move the language forward, if you could take the map that Dara had last night and attach it to Amendment 3, that'll go a long way in communicating and addressing some of the issues
Right.
that were brought up.
That one
I
of the
would
things,
include that map as for presentation purposes. I understand it's not an official map of the area, but at least it shows the town what area you're talking.
we're trying to show gradient.
yeah, and we can add the map for floodplain easily too.
Yes.
Yes, please, that would be excellent.
And you should be able to look at that map. I think one of the things Andy asked about was the number of properties that would be affected. I mean, if you're looking at it and it's
The
shaded, you can
properties
see
are
it.
overlaid on it. You
Yeah.
can see.
Yeah.
How many are affected.
So that covers that
It was
concern.
about half.
Mhm.
Yeah, basically anything east of 49.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Okay, any further discussion with this guy? we can move forward with amendment 3. Put it on and
1, 2, and 3.
You need a motion.
No.
No.
But do 1, 2, and
1, 2, and 3.
When we're finally finished our discussion. Okay.
wow.
Okay, then I move that we advance amendments 1, 2, and 3 as amended to town meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Done. We can move on to Tyrell site plan design review. I think I put that in there to have any other questions that we might have had or discussion or anything, nothing premature. Do we understand what came forward?
And you will want to keep it on the agenda until you vote that it's done.
Yeah,
My only questions, we're talking about the, what was presented at our last meeting, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was like a
Proof of-
it was like a pre-pre.
yeah,
So my understanding, and just to make sure, is that that is put forward, we were gonna put a time frame on that for 6 to 9 months. After that time, then the applicant can then go to the pre-design, like the next step, the pre-design meeting.
Well, he,
So,
no,
like-
this was the design review stage, preliminary plan. It should stay on the agenda. He can add, say he's gonna bring more information, more detailed plans, whatever, because you've already noticed it, and keep it on the agenda. If you don't see a final application, and I was a little concerned about, is it 6 months, is it 9 months? If you don't see a final application by, I think now you need to go with 9. You'll have a vote to say the design review stage is over, and you'll let him know in writing. And that means he is subject to any zoning changes that come along now.
That was a decision we made when we discussed the design review.
Yeah.
But we didn't narrow down the 6 to 9 months.
No, we said, well, we
But I
said,
I'm
think-
not fine with 9 months.
we said 6 to 9, so Tara's saying, well, we're
Let's-
stuck with the 9.
Yeah, if I was the applicant and you
Yeah.
voted to terminate it after 6, I'd be a little upset.
Well, so can we say then as of today, or is it retroactive that it's 9 months?
we're gonna put it in the tickler.
I mean,
for
either
September
way, I don't care.
Well, it's from the meeting when we made the decision.
So, okay,
Right.
so
We're
9
putting-
months from last meeting.
We're
Okay.
putting The September.
And then we have to put it in writing that either we move forward
It's in
or
it's in the minutes and there's been
we just have to remember.
nothing
to-
further presented.
No,
Got
no
it.
further discussion
This
has
is just a
taken
tickler.
place. Yeah.
Got it.
There's nothing further to say. Just to recognize
We can move
time
forward.
is passing.
Sounds good.
And you might give him a heads up at 6 months, right?
Yeah. That's a good idea.
yep.
Just- We're gonna, Mr. Chairman, if it's all right, we'll put it at the bottom of the agenda like it is now. And we're gonna put in parentheses through September.
Okay,
And
good,
then
good.
That way.
Yep.
If he submits something, it can move up the agenda and you guys know that in September to look at it and take your vote.
Great, thank you. Okay, nothing further on that? How about committee reports? How about the town core group? Anything, Alicia?
We haven't met.
I mean,
That one's
not
me.
Kathy, sorry,
Yeah, no, we're meeting next Tuesday.
okay.
Whatever happened to, I have a question, whatever happened to the planning board's request to the town core working group that it look at the pedestrian study and provide us some language as to how to move forward with it,
Well, we did the whole survey, remember?
right?
And
I'm just forgetting, I'm just wondering
yeah,
where we
yeah.
are.
So we had done the survey to find out, like what were the priorities?
Mhm.
And then, we had, I think it's either the website, but I can resend you guys what was the last update of it. It was closed. We haven't met since it's closed, so
Okay,
officially closed, I don't believe. I think we were gonna give people a little bit more time. But there was,
I remember the survey.
yeah,
So, but you
yeah,
haven't
and it had
considered
been
yet
updated, but we haven't met, so.
To consider it, okay, so
Yeah,
you're still
but there
working.
was, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the priorities haven't really changed, so, yeah.
This was a survey of priorities.
Yeah, going
But they
back and
ranked
looking
them.
at like, yeah, so remember, it was a survey that you hopefully all did, where you prioritize like what? A couple of things that came off the top of my head were, you know, again, lighting, whether it's dark sky or, you know, certain areas, yeah, that was a priority. There was different topics on there, such as the town resort collaboration, parking, trails, signing,
Yeah.
all those different things.
Bus routes, that stuff.
And we asked people to rank them, what was important to you? So,
So you're going to, the town core working group's gonna review those results.
yeah, we've been
And then-
reviewing them every time, but it hasn't it hadn't closed
Right.
since the last time we
Okay.
met, so, and, Tuesday's the next meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Correspondence, I'm sorry, I was a little too fast there.
Or is
Nothing,
there a
Okay.
conservation commission or no?
the Conservation Commission, so they met yesterday. They really have spent a lot of time reviewing the easement on the Hawkins Pond. So pretty much we discussed that a lot and went over that and still trying to understand it. So that's what they're pretty much working on. at this
They
point.
also took a vote on the amendments to ratify the amendments, to agree with the amendments.
Yes, right. I made a note here too that they. Did I get it confused, Mark? Is it number 5, amendment 5?
They agreed with all of them.
All of them, right?
And they understood that you were gonna change amendments 1 and 2 to address the trailer issue.
Camping, yeah.
Occupancy.
Yeah.
But they concurred with the wording of the other amendments.
Yep. They spent a lot of time on that, but still reviewing the easement around the pond and with Tyrell and working on that.
What is
The
their,
conclusion?
what is their,
No
no,
conclusion.
but what is the impetus
Well,
behind?
the whole thing behind it is they're trying to understand it.
Okay.
It's ball of gas. And they didn't quite get it.
At least.
They gotta go over it again and they're gonna review it. Until the next meeting and then they'll
Okay.
come up with some kind of thoughts for
Kind
us.
of one
To
side.
kind of
If we want.
simplify, like perhaps an overlay district.
Yeah, well, it's really hard to understand
I
because
know.
it's just so, right. So tough,
It's very,
Easy to
very.
digest.
side.
yeah. But
As you'd
it's
expect.
an agreement, it's an easement and we'll have to all,
Does this have to do with the
Shoreline.
2008 agreement?
yes,
Well, the
That-
way I understood the conversation was they are just worried about, as you guys were, the setbacks from the edge of the pond. And they just are trying to
right.
work through what is in the agreement.
Agreements?
And
Okay.
because they are still in favor of setbacks from the pond.
Yeah. And they got a little better understanding because the pond is really a man-made pond. It really is
Yes, man.
a river and, or stream, and they can build up to the edge. And it's really messing them up because we don't think that way naturally, you know what I mean? Building up to the edge of a pond, what do you mean? What are you talking about? So it's,
In other words, there's no definition of the shoreline of the pond.
In the agreement.
in the easement.
not really fun.
Well, is that an
Well-
easement or whatever? Yes, whatever you wanna call it.
Because the shoreline changes from
Right.
time to time depending on how much they pump out of it.
Yeah,
So what happens if they don't agree?
Doesn't matter.
it's only a recommendation to us. And
Okay.
we do a
We'll take it.
recommendation and, I mean, it's an easement that's already in place. I don't think we can, right, we can't change it, but we can.
Town agreed to
understand
it.
Sound great to.
2007.
Right.
The zooming the whole overlay is what would superimpose any.
Yeah,
already.
All right,
So
let
that
me-
whole conversation.
I, let me ask a question. A practical question. I hate to do something like that.
Okay, we'll wait.
Theoretically, at least, all right? Sometime between now and September, Terrell is going to come forth with a project that is going to be somewhere near the stream / pond / river.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the Conservation Commission, Planning Board, Select Board, or anybody else would have an issue with such thing as regard to the 2007 agreement / easement, don't we have to do something about it sooner, not later?
Do what?
I don't know.
Too bad.
I'm not sure there's anything we can do. And
We can
when I read it, other than going to court to challenge it, I'm not sure what, if anything, we can do.
I think the
Wasn't that
only-
the whole point of the overlay district, that we decided we didn't want to go there? That wasn't moved forward.
Right.
The overlay, one of the overlay districts in one of, to kind of simplify a lot. Instead of, because you've got a lot of different easements and this pertains to this piece instead of, so that would have been one of the clarifying issues of an overlay district, because then it's just. And it would, and Tara, again, tell me if I'm wrong, but my understanding was that that could supersede, you know, or any easements that were already there legally. Now, of course, people, you know, could challenge it and this and that, but, you know, and we decided not to go down that path. That was like what I thought the whole conversation was like, that we've been having for months now. Not saying right or wrong, but, and that we shouldn't revisit it, absolutely, but.
But see, the
that's-
simplistic question,
You know.
very
that would be a-
simplistic question.
Yes, you
is,
can do different.
Should we, whoever that is, decide to do such a thing? I am reasonably confident, based on my previous life, that we would see lawsuit city.
Yes.
And
But it's a moot
That was
point.
the, yeah, we're
Yeah.
not, I don't know what, yeah.
right,
So
so
we
as long as
decided
we
already.
say, we already decided not to do it.
Well, we decided to exempt the pond from the
Right.
At
overlay.
this point, but that
Well,
doesn't
not
mean you
included.
can't revisit it.
You-
You can, none of this stuff can be revisited.
One thing to keep in mind, if they don't come with a final application in the 9 months, the new stormwater section of the site plan regulations will apply. And they'll have to show you how they're not allowing any runoff from this site to get in the pond. So that's a big part of what we would have been concerned about with a shoreline overlay.
Okay,
It's agreed.
so I'm just asking the question because obviously the Conservation Commission is investing substantial time, as they should, in trying to understand this agreement. And if basically what we're saying is the agreement is the agreement and we're not gonna do anything about it unless or until something else happens. God only knows what that is.
Right, as we're avoiding lawsuit city.
Well,
That's to your comment.
I think we evaluate the project on its
On its
merits.
merits.
When it comes, if and when it comes before the board.
Mhm.
That's the planning board's responsibility.
Okay,
No, I think,
Good. we'll
No,
leave it
go
at
ahead.
that.
I think you're making a big leap from approval to lawsuit city. I mean, if I'm Tyrell, he's a smart guy, he may just come to us and say, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Before he goes to lawsuit,
I agree.
so,
I
I mean,
think
if I
that-
was here and he said, if you guys did this, I would have to fight it.
right, but you don't fight it with a lawyer for step one,
No,
you come in,
It depends.
no, I'm
I think we-
paraphrasing and utilizing Mike's
I think we're
phrase.
going backward here.
That's just,
I do-
We made a decision.
let's not get upset about this now.
okay, that's fine.
I do have to say one thing, because I do agree. I think we've
Hashed it out.
Yeah, we've hashed out, but I do remember specifically a comment too by Mr. Sununu that said, of course, I'm not gonna tell the board what to do, and whatever you guys do, we'll work around it. He's a developer. You're there to make money, and that's what you know, he should be doing, right? So he's gonna look and see where it is and how do I make changes and this and that, and what is fiscally, you know, responsible and profitable for a company.
Right.
So that is also something, you know, to
But what he
keep in
did say,
mind. It's not a one or the other,
no,
you know,
no, and nobody would ever expect that.
but
No, I'm teasing Mike when I made the
Okay.
comment, but I'm telling you that what he did say was, I don't intend to allow you to limit my rights.
he doesn't
Without
want you
objection.
to, Of course, who would?
That's right. That's all I have to say.
Why would he? Absolutely. I completely understand that.
So there's a couple things going on here before we go any further. Is we want to read and understand the easement. So continue to read it, continue to try to understand it. Also, we just spent quite a few minutes on discussing this one thing, so obviously there's still some understanding that we don't have or we do have, but some more discussion would be helpful. So if you roll your eyes, that's too bad. Let's bring it up again in the next meeting, and if there's more discussion.
To
let's
what
get
end,
it
Mr.
out.
Chair?
Let's just get it out,
To what end?
to the end of the end.
Well, but I mean, what's the point of further discussion?
Well, look how much discussion we had on this
Right,
right
because
now.
at this point, I think
Do you
that
wanna-
there are fundamental, there's different viewpoints. And those I don't think are gonna change at this point or in the near future by further discussion. When we have an issue that comes before the board, absolutely, I don't, am I making sense? Like, I feel like.
Yeah, that's, should be
You
the
know,
trigger.
Then, you know what I'm saying? Because
There's-
we don't have anything in front of the board right now that would pertain to this, but maybe we will, you know,
Mark,
in
I
2
just
months
think
from now,
there's some
we'll-
lack of understanding, and you're not the chair yet, hang on. Mark, go ahead.
Say he comes in the spring. He must he's gotta do a site plan application.
Yeah.
He's for a PUD, whatever he decides to do, right? You talked about
We did.
maybe utilizing a PUD. We have regulations for those already in the zoning ordinance. You already have a zoning district in the area that you're talking about. That's laid out in the zoning ordinance. He'll have to show you how he meets it.
Right,
And he will have to show the select board how he meets the agreement between the town and well, it was Waterbury Company, but that got transferred to Tyrell. So he's already got several different things that he will have to do. If he submits a PUD or a site plan application.
Mhm.
So though that would be going forward if he does it before September. So you have a lot of different places and a lot of different things that will have to be met that he will have to show you in that plan. And like Tara said, if he doesn't do it by September, then he's gonna be subject to not only the zoning district that's already there and the agreement, but then he'll have the stormwater provisions that you're putting in. So there's all these things. You're gonna have a lot of control or a lot of issues that you're going to be able to make sure
Okay.
that they're meeting with whatever plan they bring before you.
Okay,
So
I guess what,
yep.
I don't see the harm in putting one more barrier in front of him. Which is this, you know, the district, including Corcoran's Pond. He can come to us and say, I have this easement, this shouldn't apply to me, and we'll say, well, maybe you do.
We've already voted on this pretty decisively. I think it was either 6-1 or 5-2 to move this amendment forward.
as if,
Move it forward.
Well, no, to move the shoreline protection forward without including Corcoran Pond. We're putting that in front of the voters. Any further discussion on our part is going to undercut what we put forward. So I think we made the decision as a board, we stick to that decision as a board. And then we see what the results are of the vote, and then we move forward either theoretically, which I would counsel against, or when there are something in front of us to consider with regard to development around the
Well,
pond.
he already put it in front of you. He told you he's gonna.
Right.
Build to the.
As that's the first part of the process, a design review. That is a official part of the process. So why are we discussing
Okay,
this?
so
is what I'm-
basically, forget all this, what we're gonna do is,
You started this.
I know I did, and I apologize, but, the reason that I started it is that the Conservation Board is investing significant time and effort in understanding it. And I understand, I did read it, and it is a comprehensive, convoluted, difficult to understand document, all right? And that's all true. I've read it, we all read it, and I guess I agree, unfortunately, with Rich, that basically says, let's wait and see what Terrell does in the next, what month are we in? In the next 9 months or 8 months or
8
whatever it
months.
is,
With regard to this project.
with regard to this project. And let's see what happens, and when something happens, we'll
Deal with it.
deal with it.
So we have to have a town vote.
So this all started with the Conservation Commission
It's your fault.
and their report, so it's my fault. For
I'm-
the
Yeah.
lack of understanding. That's where they are. It sounds like we are not fully understanding the easement that's written either because of the discussion we just had.
Oh, no, I do understand.
Now, okay, so let's move on. All right, we good?
Okay.
Good.
I'm just reporting what the
Yeah.
Conservation Commission was
Okay.
not understanding and
Okay.
still are
They're an
trying
independent
to.
town
That's
board
fine.
and.
Yeah, so they're on it, we're on it. Let's move on.
Okay.
Can I ask
Calendar.
a procedural question about, it's sort of related to this, but it could apply to anything. We put in our notice of decision that we've given them 90 or 9 months. So September 30th goes by, or whatever that meeting is that month for this board. And we say, okay, you've got to go back to the drawing board, submit another one. They could submit another one on October 15th, right?
But it will be subject to the zoning.
Whatever's in place, but we can't put any new zoning in until March of
This-
2026. So I don't really think it makes a lot of sense to contemplate this. We could,
Right.
but we're gonna be back. It's back where we are right now, I think.
Well, as Tara pointed out, I mean, the zoning amendments we're proposing, if approved, the Shoreline Protection Act. If that time period lapses, then they would be subject to the zoning that potentially would have passed in March of this.
The site plan regulations have.
Site-
the-
Excuse me, site plan regulations. Sorry, I had
Yeah, okay.
the wrong thing.
So there's
See what I'm saying?
other protections there.
Stormwater is part of what
Yeah.
you're changing.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
We good?
Yep.
Okay, let's, the next meeting is February 13. We're also going to do a public hearing at 8 AM that day. We're all in agreement with that?
Just one other thing, we had Cochran's Pond, somewhere in this, I forget, someone made it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fix the spelling of that.
That's that we had.
And it's the apostrophe S
Amendment file.
doesn't belong in there either, so.
No, I think it,
POR
yeah,
No apostrophe S.
or
no
Right.
apostrophe S,
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
even though we all agree.
no S.
I hear you.
So therefore no need for an apostrophe.
Anybody want to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
capital improvements plan subcommittee, if you guys.
Probably will.
For a minute. After.
Who